It's absolutely massive.
Squeeze a bit more water out of the river.
It sickens me, that.
Floodplain harvesting has been a form of water theft for over 30 years.
These are private dams that gather water. Some of them gather even before the water gets to the rivers.
You're talking about intercepting water that should flow across the floodplain and into the rivers.
So building infrastructure and levee banks on floodplains stops rainfall runoff from entering rivers, and when there is a bit of a flow, a medium to large flow, the water usually goes up over the floodplain, picks up all its good stuff and goes back into the river. What floodplain harvesting does is divert that water while it's on the floodplain and diverts that water into private storage.
What do people think, that it only rains between this bank and that bank? The water's got to get into the river somehow, and of course it comes off the floodplains, and it comes off the plains, it all runs, and you see all the gullies here. If they're all blocked off and diverted, there's nothing gets in there.
It's been free, unregulated, unlicensed and unmeasured water for a few people upstream, very large irrigation concerns.
I get that the water is being taken off peak when there's high flows and all the rest, but if it's taken before it can reach the system, well then the system is being pillaged, I guess. Yeah, for everybody else downstream.
There is a massive gold rush underway across the upper reaches of the basin when we look to try and capture every single drop that used to flow down to the river to keep it healthy for floodplain harvesting and then into mostly export crops.
The river and the marshes and the contribution to the Murray-Darling can't handle more licences being issued, and it's just adding to the decline, the degradation of our river.
All of that water is the natural flow into our river systems. If it's captured before it gets into the river, then the rivers will never have the water that they need. They'll never have their natural flow regimes, and the downstream communities miss out on that water flow.
It's the same sort of attitude that we've got to exploit this resource, and we will exploit it until we kill it.
And they say it's very complicated. It shouldn't be complicated, because there shouldn't be any floodplain harvesting at all. It just should be left alone, and it runs into the river. And then, if people got allocations on their pumps, but with the allocations of what they got to pump, it still isn't enough. So they want to take what floods off the plains as well, and then use that water. So it's just going from bad to worse. And the only way that is ever going to survive is floodplain harvesting is cracked off altogether.